What's up, Titans fans, and welcome to another episode of Titans Global Podcast. I am your host, Maximus Titan Fan, and with me, as always, is my good buddy Link. What's up, Link?
What's going on, man? Good to be here. Good to see you guys. Excited we finally made it. We got the first preseason game tomorrow, 6 o'clock Central. Super excited to get back to football. I've been watching some preseason up to this point, but to see the Titans in action, it's going to be a whole new ball game. So glad to be here. We want to hear from you guys. So as always, make sure to like, subscribe, comment. Most importantly, make sure to comment. We want to hear what you have to say. Agree, disagree with us, whatever you want to tell us. Hop in there and tell us. So we'll kick it off. Good to get going.
Yeah, man. It's our first pre-show game of the year. It's preseason, finally. Like you said, we made it. So happy to get to see some live action. So let's get to it, man. Yeah, if y'all are out there, like, subscribe, comment would be awesome. We need some comments to get the conversation going. Tell us if you like it, if you don't like it, you agree, you don't agree, why, and all that good stuff. But let's get down to it. We're talking about the game, Titans versus 49ers. I think it's 7 o'clock? Or I guess 6 o'clock Central time.
6 Central, yep.
Sorry, I'm in the Eastern time zone, so that always messes me up. But is it on CBS? Is that right?
I believe so. I know you can stream it through NFL Plus. Local, I believe it's CBS or NBC. I'll double check that before the show ends and get that out towards the end of the show.
All right, man. I'm sorry. I did not get that information. And
I think
I was going to say last year it was always CBS, but now that they've got that new deal in place that it kind of flips everybody around. I don't know. It could be on Fox, ABC, CBS. Who knows? We're going to talk a little bit about who we're excited to see, though, finally in live action, because it does make a difference when you're playing against another team. It also, it not only does it make you want to play harder because you're not going against your own teammates and may, injure somebody or something like that if you go too hard. But not only that, it just, sense of competition, seeing things in live action, fast, game speed, everything really improves here. And it tells you what you can see in practice. Does it translate to on the field? Like with T'Vondre Sweat. He's had an amazing camp, probably one of the highlights of the camp. Some people had question marks coming in. He seems to have answered all those questions so far and has done nothing but excel as far as I can tell. Everybody's gloating about him, so I'm interested to see what he does on the field. We won't get to see him paired with Simmons, which I'm disappointed about, but, I'm still interested to see. Who are you most interested to see, Link?
I'm going to take a shot here. Jalen Harrell. I've heard a lot of good stuff about him. Huge praise from the coaching staff. Super excited to see what he can do on the edge. And then another guy for me is Jaquan Jackson. Young guy, super fast, rookie coming out. I think he can be an X factor in this offense. So yeah, those are the two, offense and defense, that I'm really going to be paying attention to. And then obviously the offensive line. I do expect first team offensive line to be out there. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how long they stay out there. But just seeing how well that they can mesh together right out of the gate, that would be a huge look for me.
Yeah, the O-line is a giant question mark right now. We're all wondering, if our O-line's really that terrible or T-Sweat's just really that good. So we it's like I said, that's another one of those things about seeing a game that is different from practice. So we'll get to see how Latham and Skoronski mesh with Cushenberry. I'm sure he's going to do great. But the right side, Lee, what's his name? Dang it. Sadiq Charles. I've been praising him ever since we made the signing.
Yeah.
Kept saying, dude, that's your right guard right there, man. Don't worry about it. It's either your right guard or your right tackle. I don't care, but he is going to start. And then he retired.
Yeah.
And that really threw me for a loop, man. I'm not going to lie. 25 years old. Somebody commented on my social media, oh, yeah, he got his bags and ran. I don't really feel like that's how it is. I mean, honestly, he only made $250,000 on a signing bonus from us. Everything else will go back to us. So, you know, honestly, I hope everything's all right with the dude.
Yeah.
That's all I say. I hope everything's all right with his life and his family and whatever reason he decided to retire from the NFL. I hope it was something. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it was something as simple as he just wanted to be done with it. You know, he had made enough money for his future to secure his family's whatever. I would love to think that, but at 4.7 million for a career earning, I just don't think in today's world 4.7 million dollars. I know it sounds like a lot, but being realistic, the lifestyle these people kind of live,
Oh yeah.
he's probably already burned through 3/4 of that at least.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyway, moving on from that, trying to get away. Positive vibes tonight, man. Positive vibes. I'm really excited about inside linebacker. You know,
Yes.
we were talking pre-show. I'm really interested to see how Denard Wilson does this whole. I want to see what his personnel packages are because
Right.
that thing. I read an article. I don't remember who wrote it, but they were talking about three safeties in the game as a standard package, almost like a nickel look. So I thought that was kind of interesting, especially with the Adams Quandre Diggs signing. You know, everybody's like, who's going to start now that they're, and they might share time like Spears and Pollard. But anyway, what do you think about all this, Link?
Yeah, no, inside linebacker is an interesting one. I mean, you look at the locks. I mean, obviously Kenneth Murray, he's got a roster spot. Gibby's got a roster spot. I believe that Chance Campbell's pretty much a lock at that point. But then you guys got guys on the outside looking in. Cedric Gray being a young guy, excited to see what he can do. Luke Gifford, Otis Reese. I mean, these are guys that they need to have a good preseason because realistically, if you look at the linebacker position, I mean, I only see them keeping maybe 3, 4 inside linebackers, 4 at the most, in my opinion. The other guys might get relegated to practice squad or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, I think Cedric Gray really needs to show out. He's going to be a big one to watch. And then Chance Campbell, I mean, like I said, I think he's got it locked, but it doesn't take much for one of these guys to jump ahead of him. So inside linebacker is going to be interesting, and then outside as well. Even though Arden Key, the suspension hasn't gone all the way through yet, even if it did, he's still eligible to play preseason. So if it does come down and he's got a 6-game suspension, these are going to be important for him in the preseason. So I expect to see some action out of him. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But inside and outside linebacker, there's going to be a lot to look for there tomorrow.
Yeah, I really hope we get to see Cedric Gray tomorrow. I think he had a tweak.
Yep.
Was it today in camp or whatever? I don't know, but
yeah,
it
from
made
what I
me kind of question.
saw, yeah, it didn't look that serious. But then again, as a rookie, I don't think there's any particular need to rush him back into things. So I wouldn't be shocked if he was out for tomorrow's game. They get him ready for joint practice with the Seahawks and the preseason game with them. So,
Yep.
yeah, it didn't look that serious. But again, no need to rush these guys back, especially the young ones. You want to maintain their health so that they're here for 5-6 years plus, especially if they can produce.
Yeah, and another one I'm really interested in seeing is Otis Reese.
Yep.
Made a huge impact not a huge impact. He made a name for himself. I'll say
Right.
that. In the Titans realm or whatever, but undrafted free agent. I think he is an interesting one to watch. Caleb Murphy, he's sticking around, so I really hope to see him, see what he does. I think he's listed as 3rd though, so
Yep.
I don't know. He needs to do better in practice, I guess. But another big one on the linebacker court is the James Williams, the convert from safety or whatever that moved to linebacker. Man, I've heard he has laid the wood more than once in camp on a player where
Yeah.
everybody was like, "Ooh,"
Yeah.
and that I love those kind of hits, and I love those kind of plays. So I'm really interested to see some of that.
Yep.
Other than that, yeah. O-line, D-line, defensive backs. Brownlee Jr., man, can he continue to have the offseason that he's already had? Can he put that in a game? Because if he can, man, I'm super excited for this young man. He could be very special, especially with the contracts we've already got with Cheeto and Sneed. It'd be really nice to have some reliable dudes right behind him. Not something we've had the
and
luxury of.
I expect him to have a pretty high snap count. I mean, honestly, realistically, I don't think Chidobe or Snead are going to be out there much, if at all, tomorrow. Not officially ruled out for tomorrow's game, but with them being limited, kind of on their own regimen, their own schedule, I don't expect. I mean, they're going to be game ready by the start of the regular season. So yeah, I mean, guys like that, I mean, it's going to be really important reps. Like I said, I expect a high snap count, and ready to see some of this stuff in practice translate over to game action.
Yeah, some of the guys we won't see, obviously, D-Hop, there's no reason, you know what I mean, to even chance it. Landry, Simmons, Stonehouse, all those guys have already been ruled out, completely ruled out by the coach. Sneed, more than likely, is going to be held out along with Adams as they're managing them. And a huge disappointment, man, because he was having a really, really good camp, and he was really impressing me. But Caleb Farley, man, this kid can't catch a break, dude.
Yeah.
But I hate to say it, he might actually, with all the talent we have in the defensive backs, I've thought he was going to be safe for another year just because of the way the contract's written up. But I don't know, man. With all the talent we've got, we might see Caleb Farley cut.
Yeah, it kind of interesting scenario there with the new injured reserve rules. They can place him on injured reserve, and somehow there's some way they can keep him, not take up a roster spot, then bring him back later in the season if needed. So I don't know if you'll see a cut right away on the initial. But yeah, I mean, it may be something they keep in their back pocket. I'm not sure how they feel about that. But yeah, like you said, I mean, he was having a great camp, had some great practices, looked like he was finally kind of clawing his way back into the mix, and then just another derailment of his career. So it's a guy that I think everybody was rooting for. He's had a lot of ups and downs, and, I just hope everything works out for him, whether it be here in Tennessee or just in life in general. Really hope everything works out for him.
Yeah, same, man. He's been through, honestly, like I said, kid can't catch a break, dude. He's been through enough, it's almost like throw him a bone, man. When he was having a great camp, I was like, oh, awesome, dude. That would be like the biggest Cinderella story ever, man. But then, I don't know if you want to call it reality set in or just the fact of football is football.
Mm-hmm.
You don't play for 4 years. You get a little soft. Not saying he's soft. I'm saying his body is soft. Not trying to be insulting here. Yeah, you talked about it a little bit, but OLB, I'm really interested to see Weaver do something. He doesn't move the needle, honestly, in the preseason. I'm not going to expect much of him from the season. But Harrell's having a really good camp, and I'm interested to see what he brings to the table. I would like to see him in a rotation, maybe even in the first quarter, which I'd like to see him against some starters, see what he looks like. But again, maybe not. I don't know. But any hot takes from you for the game?
Yeah, I'll go out on a limb. I'll say I do expect Malik Willis to have a heck of a game. I think he's finally going to kind of step into the moment a little bit in some in-game action, whether it be with, the twos from San Francisco. San Francisco kind of in a similar situation as the Titans. I don't expect to see a lot of starters, at least not for a lot of quality snaps. You might see a few out there for the first series or so. But yeah, I mean, I think Malik Willis can have a good chance. He's still fighting for a spot on this roster. It is my opinion they keep 3 quarterbacks, but that's obviously not something that's set in stone. So yeah, I think that he does see more reps than Mason Rudolph. I think Mason Rudolph's pretty much a lock for a roster spot right now. So I expect him to take the majority of the snaps in this one. And I think he'll show out. I really do. And then running back play. I feel like we're going to see a lot of running backs tomorrow. I feel like you're going to see a heavy rotation. Again, Pollard and Tajay Spears, don't expect a lot of snaps for those guys, but you have a lot of dudes like Chestnut, Hassan Haskins, who seems to be the front runner for the third running back position, Jabari Smalls. You're going to see those guys kind of fighting it out for a spot on this team, and I expect a pretty big game out of all of them, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, that's one I actually forgot to mention that I am actually really excited about is the backup running backs. I don't know what you can call it, RB3 or whatever, but yeah, and you're right. It does look like Hassan Haskins, to my surprise, has beaten everybody out in camp. He's quietly had a really nice camp. So, yeah, but I'm still really excited to see what Jabari can bring to the game. Returner, that's something I wanted to talk about, man. Jaquan Jackson was not listed as a returner at all on the depth chart.
He was listed under kickoff return.
Was he actually? I thought they only had Spears as the kickoff returner.
No, so your kickoff returners, they had Tajay Spears at 1, they had Kearis Jackson at number 2, and then Jaquan Jackson was listed as the third one on there. So surprising, I expected to see him in the punt return, but they did at least have him listed at third in the kick return.
Oh, I'm just blown away by that because I thought he would have been more of a front runner for the return game anyway. But he is listed as the fourth wide receiver reserve, so maybe they've impressed or he's impressed them in a way that they think he's going to be a better wide receiver than return man. I don't know. That just
well, and I'll say too. I feel like at your receiver position, just because of what he's probably capable of on returns and at the receiver position, I feel like he's a lock for the roster. So that kind of leaves 2 guys, one of them on the outside. That's Mason Kinsey and Kyle Phillips. So I feel like that's going to be an interesting battle come this preseason because, in my opinion, I think Phillips kind of has the edge right now. Not necessarily out of play or training camp, but it's harder to keep a guy like Kyle Phillips. It's harder to hide him on a practice squad. If you see what I'm saying, I feel like if you put him on the practice squad, he's going to be picked up. Whereas Mason Kinsey, it's a little iffy if somebody's going to come in and scoop him or not. So I feel like Kyle Phillips has the edge right now, but it's got to be one of those 2 guys not making the roster, right?
I mean, yes, I would agree with you. It's one of those 2 guys. I also would agree that Kyle Phillips has had an amazing camp as well. He is amazing at one-on-ones.
Yeah.
So if they can get him one-on-one, he'll probably win. So that I mean, that's a really good sign for him. But also I think Mason Kinsey is the number 1 punt returner, is he not?
Yes. And that's where things get kind of interesting. Kyle Phillips is listed as the number 3 punt returner. Mason Kinsey is listed as a number 1 punt returner. So what it may come down to in this preseason is who gives you an edge on special teams. And maybe that's who you keep at that receiver spot. So for me, that's going to be something really interesting to watch. I think you're going to see a heavy rotation at punt return and kick return. And then let's remember too, on kick returns, you've got 3 guys listed on the depth chart. 2 of those guys are in the backfield with the new rule.
Right.
So you're going to see, again, a heavy rotation at kick return also. So Jaquan Jackson, he's going to get his chances, same way with Kyle Phillips, same way with Mason Kinsey. And that may be what determines the wide receiver setup that they have. So we'll see what happens. But, I mean, this new kick return, it's basically a free play. So going to have to figure out a way to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it again. I said I wasn't going to talk about it in this show. I said it 2 or 3 different times to myself, but I am excited to see the kickoff with the new rules and stuff. But other than that, I'm not going to say anything else about it because I've talked about it enough. Are you interested in seeing any of the 49ers players?
We talked a little before the show. Kind of excited to see Josh Dobbs, his progression, what he's been able to do over the offseason, how it translates to a game. And then something kind of interesting, I don't expect to see any playing time out of him, but it does look like that Ayuk and the 49ers have reopened negotiations for his contract. So, Depending on how these other receivers perform, for the 49ers, they might be willing to pay him a little bit more money, closer to what he's wanting, if they get out there and realize that they don't have a lot of depth at that position. So this preseason game might determine contract negotiations for him. So just kind of a little sideline piece to watch for this one against the Titans.
Yeah, honestly, I'll be real with you, man. I feel like he's going to carve up the Titans just because he plays so well, especially against number twos. And if that, well, of course, I don't know. They might be with the type of team that the 49ers are. I mean, a team that actually, went to the Super Bowl last year, has a lot of stars on the team. They know who they are. Their identity hasn't changed. Their offense hasn't changed. So they don't really necessarily need as much practice as, say, other teams like ours who are just getting a new offensive system and maybe a lot of new offensive starters, defensive starters. So I feel like 49ers aren't going to have a lot of their starters out there. Probably a good majority of their starters out there. So I don't know if we'll get the real test that we're looking for. But I do think it's still going to be exciting. And I am a little excited to see us defend against Josh Dobbs. And, Ricky Pearsall was a really good wide receiver prospect. I'm interested to see what he can do. But, yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I expect a pretty high scoring game for both teams. I don't necessarily want to call it a shootout, but I think both teams could be 20 plus points by the end of it, just for the simple fact. I mean, Josh Dobbs kind of has the edge in this because we saw it here in Tennessee. He's very good at coming in and just playing football. He doesn't need to have a system. He doesn't need to have a game plan. He's so smart, and his football IQ is so high that he can just step onto a field, go through his progressions, find an open receiver. I mean, that's what he's good at. That's why the Titans brought him in, as they were trying to make a late push and find a quarterback. So I do think he has the edge in this one just because of his football IQ. But then, it's going to be really interesting to see. I think Treylon Burks is going to get a lot of catches in this. I think that the Titans are going to come out with a pretty explosive offense. Obviously, they're not going to implement their entire game plan in the first week of preseason. But I do think they're going to take some shots. I think you're going to see some deep shots from Levis to start the game. Then I think you're going to continue to see those deep shots from Willis just to kind of get the receivers warmed up, getting used to running down the field, work on the vertical stuff. So simple routes, but I will think you see some deep routes. So, yeah, I mean, I think this could kind of turn into a barn burner a little bit.
I agree. And, to kind of touch on it again, we've said it a couple times before, but Malik Willis has really progressed as a quarterback in the league. First year to second year, he made a huge leap. He made another huge leap from second year to third year. He's still, I don't know if he's still quite a starter yet, but, Mason Rudolph, obviously, dude is having an amazing camp.
Yeah.
He's been on point every day. So like you said, I mean, he's pretty cemented himself as the number two, just like we see with Spears and Pollard. They like to have interchangeable guys. They don't like to have to change up their system just because they put a different guy in. So I don't think Malik Willis quite fits as well as Mason Rudolph. Plus, like we've said a couple times, he's the highest paid quarterback on the team.
Yep.
He's not going to be number three. So, there's that. But I also think that Malik Willis will have a really good game. Mm-hmm. And I also expect to see Calvin Ridley out there for a little while. Mm-hmm. I expect to see some serious starters out there. We're going to see Trevondre Sweat. We're going to see Amani Hooker, McCreary. I don't know that we'll see Adams, though. I don't think we'll see Adams. Diggs, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. How they do safety. I think you'll see a lot of Molden. I do think you'll see some of Amani Hooker. I wouldn't be shocked to see Adams out there just a little bit, just to kind of get him moving around on the field, kind of figure out where they want to use him, because obviously he's done a lot of different stuff in practice, but getting those game reps, putting him up, rushing the quarterback. I think you might see some of that if he is on the field. But again, let's remember, I mean, this is a preseason game. Obviously, they're going to keep their cards close to the chest. You're not going to see a lot of scheme type stuff. You're basically going to see ball, get ball is what you're going to see in this one. So yeah, interesting to see how they use the guys they do put out there. Same way with San Francisco. It's going to be good for the corners just to get an idea of man coverage. I think you'll see a lot of man coverage in this one. Kind of separate the men from the boys on this team. And again, because you got a lot of corners that are on the outside looking in right now. So just seeing what these backup guys can do and how they can get the most quality depth at that position. So real simple stuff, but they're going to make them work for sure.
Yep. And that's pretty much it. I don't really have any much other thoughts. I will say this. Guy, or I assume it's a guy. I don't know. It could be anybody. But anyway, the person approached me on Twitter, sent me a thing, asked me if I like playing fantasy. I got into a conversation with him about how I play all kinds of fantasy, pigskin, pick'ems. I like all the weird games just because I'm a strategist and I enjoy that kind of stuff. So he sent me this link to this place called Salary Cap Sports. I want to just give him a little shout out because I thought this was cool. And anybody who likes the different fantasy games, or if you like to go a little deep into your fantasy, I think this is for you. You start off with $50 million. As you see, you make 4 trades every week. You draft your players based on the salary that they make. Their salary is based on how much production they make weekly. And then whoever ends up with the most points every week wins. And apparently there's a cash prize for the ultimate winners or whatever. But I just thought that was a really cool website and a new idea. And man, I like new ideas. So I just thought I'd give the dude a little shout out. So go check that out, salarycapsports.com. Other than that, I think we're done for tonight. What do you think, Link?
Yeah, no, just excited to get to it. Excited to see some of these guys get an opportunity, and football's finally back. Currently, I've been watching the Steelers kind of crap the bed against the Texans here on preseason football. So excited to see the Titans in action. Like I said, I expect big things from the depth guys. And hey, let's see who shows out. There's always that one guy in preseason that you never expect that just has the preseason of a lifetime. So I don't know who that's going to be this year, but I do expect it to be somebody.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you, one of the most exciting things for me is I'll be sitting on my couch with a beer in my hand and Titans football on my TV. That's right. Scoob, what's up, man? You're a little late, but you made it, brother. It's cool. What's up? How you doing? We're about to head out, though. Everybody, if you've stuck with us so far, thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, we do a lot of shorts and stuff like that you won't see on other social medias. So go check that out. Sub up. Actually had like 100 submissions this month, or subscribers, whatever you want to call them. So that's fantastic. We're growing on YouTube. It's exactly what we asked for. So thank you so much for that. You got any last words, Link?
No, tighten up. Let's get to it.
All right, everybody. Till next time, tighten up. Peace out.